Welcome to Construction Business TV. My name is Logan Williams and I'm the local reporter and videographer for Sacramento, California. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Tyrone Roderick Williams, an urban revitalization trailblazer as well as the Deputy Executive Director for the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency, whose development activities have been at the forefront of neighborhood transformations in cities like Boston, Houston, Atlanta, and here in Sacramento. Today, we will be discussing the Marisol Village mixed income community currently under construction in the River District. After the intro, we'll get into it. So Tyrone, thanks so much for being here today. So we're going to talk about the Marisol Village mixed income community in the River District that is being constructed at the moment. But I'd like to talk first a little bit about the issue of homelessness and your role as Deputy Executive Director at the SHRA. So can you tell me, number one, how you got to be in that position, some of the projects you've been involved with, and what a typical day looks like for you at the organization?
Well, Logan, it's great to be talking with you about all of that. Let's just take it kind of one at a time. How did I get here? I've spent my entire career doing urban revitalization projects across the country. I'm an architect by training, and so I started my career in Boston when I was in grad school, then moved to Houston and continued it there. Spent 10 years in Atlanta before arriving here in Sacramento. And so this is really a continuation of all that I've been engaged in. And so Marisol Village is Sacramento's newest neighborhood. It's different from other neighborhoods. One, it's a mixed income neighborhood, which means that there are a wide range of housing affordability options for individuals. Number two, it's a green and sustainable neighborhood. So it's imparting all of the latest technology as far as energy efficiency, water efficiency, zero emissions vehicles. We are building a transit station adjacent to the neighborhood. So it's a transit-oriented development. And so this is a project that we've been working with over the last 12 years. Now, I've only been at the agency for about 7 years, but this is a project that has taken us 12 years to get to where we are now. And it's currently under construction, and we're anticipating on the first residents moving in 2022, early January of 2022. So that's kind of what's going on at Marisol Village. Meanwhile, throughout the city, we are dealing with the issues of homelessness and affordable housing. And our agency is actively involved in those discussions and leading many of those efforts. We currently are overseeing the management of two shelters, one in the Meadowview community and another that's currently under construction in the Oak Park community. We've completed the first tiny home village that's really targeting transition age youth who are aging out of foster care or are at risk of becoming homeless. And we're constantly looking at other ways in which to provide long-term housing for those who are currently unhoused. And we've recently started construction on the Capitol Park Hotel, which will be a new permanent supportive housing development just across the street from the Capitol here in Sacramento. So there's a lot of things that we are doing and engaged in here at SHRA. One of the aspects of my department also oversees all of the affordable housing financing for the city and the county. So in addition to the projects that we are directly involved in managing and directing, we are providing the financing for numerous other projects here in the city and in the county. So what does a regular day look like in my office? Well,
pretty busy.
It can start with dealing with issues of managing shelters during a COVID-19 pandemic at 8 o'clock in the morning, and move to the issues of developing a new transit station at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then at 10, because we're part of the Promise Zone, leading the Promise Zone, where we're looking at education, healthcare, job training and development, and economic development. We're talking about strategizing to bring resources. Maybe at 11 o'clock, I'm sitting in a meeting talking about our SHRA program, where it's the Sacramento Emergency Rental Assistance Program, where we to date have over 15,000 people who have called in and are in the process of securing funding to cover their back rent during this crisis. So it continues on. There is never a dull moment in my office, in our department, or at the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency.
So it sounds like there's a lot of service-based aspects within the organization. Can you talk a little bit about why it's important not only to sort of combine these construction business practices along with service?
Well, service is equally as important when you're dealing with people who are at the margins. And what I mean by that is when we talk about our unhoused population, part of what we're doing is providing housing, but equally as important with housing are the wraparound services. And wraparound services is a catch-all phrase for those services that those individuals need to either overcome challenges that they have in their lives, or present opportunity for training that will lead to economic opportunities for them, or to help them connect to basic federal resources that they're eligible for. All of those are, and much more, are considered wraparound services. And so anytime that we're dealing with a low income, or in many cases, a no income population, we're always looking at what can we do to provide those services that help individuals become self-sufficient as soon as possible. And we've got a host of partners. SHRA thrives on partnerships. Our work in the Promise Zone has over 160 partners just in that effort alone. So we love partners, and we love the impact that partnering with our partners have produced.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Partnerships always sort of expand the sort of horizon of any organization, and in working with other people, you get to, maybe delve into some new avenues that you may not have gotten into. So speaking of that, we're in a pandemic right now, and you spoke a little bit about this, assessing where we are, or where you guys are in terms of any COVID-19 updates day to day. So can you tell me how the organization sort of operates, or how it operated before the pandemic hit, and now maybe anything new, or the main difference going by day to day in terms of operating during this time of uncertainty?
Well, we've had to retool, just like so many other organizations have. And we were an organization that was very client focused. And so because our agency is the housing authority for both the city and the county, we had to really rethink all of our work around how do we continue to serve our housing authority residents, as well as our housing voucher residents. We oversee the housing voucher program. Some people refer to it as Section 8, but we've got about 14,000 people that we're assisting on that as well. So one of the first things that we had to do is to look at what could be done by teleworking. We were not an organization that really had a significant focus on teleworking. We've shifted now. And so a great deal, I would say almost 80% of our interaction on a daily basis with our residents, our clients, and anyone that we are working with is really through a remote basis. So we had to buy computers and get people trained on how to operate remotely. And that's gone well. With anything that's new, there's been some learning curves, but we've been able to continue to stay up to where we're providing quality services. In addition to that, we've had some residents whose units we've had to continue to go into, and that's created a whole nother level of concern for both not only our staff, but also the residents. And so we've developed a real policy of how do we approach that and what type of equipment and the protocols for entering units and for our employees, as well as the protocols for the residents when our employees enter units. And so we've had to adjust. But the good news is that we've continued to provide a high level of quality service to everyone who comes and is in need of the services that we provide here.
Can you talk about one of your greatest challenges that you have had to face as the Deputy Executive Director, if not, in addition to the COVID challenges, et cetera, that we discussed?
Being a Deputy Executive Director, there are numerous responsibilities. They include personnel, that includes the projects that we're responsible for, that includes the training and development, and in the COVID-19 situation, the safety of our residents. For me, I think the biggest challenge really has been, prior to COVID-19, is really being able to tell our story of how we are impacting lives on a daily basis. Our agency does so much that most people are not aware of. And oftentimes we're so busy doing the great work that we don't share the good news of all that we're doing and how lives are being changed for the better. For me, that's a challenge because I believe the more you know, the more you appreciate the agency that we are. We just celebrated 80 years of providing service to Sacramento. Wow. And I dare say that most people barely even know that we exist. Mm-hmm. And so from our early childhood training centers to our STEM development activities, to our job training, to our online college courses, to helping people complete their high school diplomas, you name the gamut, we do it every day, and it's to the benefit of our residents. And so I'm always challenged to how can we get the word out about the value that we bring to this city. Just in our housing choice voucher program alone, we generate $8 million into the economy of our city every month.
Oh, wow.
And so not only do we talk about our impact with people's lives and our impact on building houses, but our impact on the economy of our city is quite significant. And I really appreciate you for giving me an opportunity to talk with you and to share with you and those who may view our conversation all the great things that happen on a weekly basis here at SHRA.